Hey everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast. My name is Irvin.
And this is Elena.
And today we're actually joined by two powerful community members. One of them has actually been on the podcast before, but the second one has actually never been here before, so we're glad to have them on. Do you want to do the introductions, Elena?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, so today we've got Dr. John L. Colbert, who was Fayetteville's first Black principal, associate superintendent, and superintendent. He has taught in Fayetteville for nearly 50 years and just recently retired. And we have the filmmaker and creative Mike Day here, who recently made a documentary over Dr. Colbert's life and legacy. I'm so excited to have you guys here. It's not every day that you get to meet someone who has a legacy. You know, something that's actually gonna impact generations.
And live on for a long time.
Yeah. So it's really awesome to have you here. And just to get into it, something that I found interesting was Dr. Colbert, you talked about how you've worked in every field when it comes to the education system, from teacher, principal, curriculum, custodian, cafeteria. What is the number one underappreciated job in the school system?
Underappreciated?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's kind of tough. That's a good question. Oh, that's a good question.
Start out with the fire questions.
But actually, I'm going to be kind of political about this, and in the sense that I feel that when you look at education, I think that whole environment is not really appreciated in a sense. You know, it goes from the teachers to the administrators to the cafeteria workers to the bus drivers and all. I put that all in one package that people do not realize how much all of those entities provide a good education for the kids. So I think it's an overall thing that you have to think about all of those entities, because we cannot do it without each of those entities, because that's what makes education very important and successful. And I feel that we don't get the recognition that we should be getting.
Oh.
Yes.
And we were talking a little bit off the air before we started recording. You took a trip to Egypt, and I'm jealous of it, because I find it kind of funny that the first thing I asked you was, did you manage to see that pizza hut that supposedly is pretty close to the pyramids, and you said no.
Right, that is true. Right, I guess I was so tied up and wrapped up, and my mind was out there seeing that beautiful area and all, and getting ready to explore all the mountains and all, and so therefore I did not see the pizza. But I tell you what I did see, though. I saw the pyramids and the Sphinx head. I mean, that was amazing. It was breathtaking. So I would recommend that to anyone to go and see it, because it's really amazing. Just to think about how all of those pyramids were built and all without the technologies that we have today. It blows my mind that how they did that. So it's wonderful. I'm sorry I didn't see the Pizza Hut. I saw the pyramids.
If you saw the pyramids, that's all you need to see. That's one of the places where I've been wanting to go. So hopefully in the next few years I'm able to check it out. You told me that you got to ride some ATVs.
Yes, we did. Right, it was just wonderful, and that experience actually, we came from Ghana and over there, and so when our tour guides asked, "What would y'all like to do?" You can go and see the museums, or you can ride the ATVs, or whatever. And I had my daughter with me, and of course, which one did she pick? She picked the ATVs, right? Because we had just finished doing that and had a great time in Ghana riding those. So we did that, which I'm happy that we did, because when I came up across on top of the mountain, and what did I see right there in my eyes? Like I could touch the three pyramids. I mean, that was a good decision that my daughter made about we should be riding ATV, because I would
be kind of scary riding an ATV.
Right, but once you get out there, well, I must say that my tour guide who was taking us, he said, "Sir, you need to slow down." I think I was driving the way I drive my car, so he did have to tell me to slow down, because it was great. It was wonderful.
Mike, do you have any experiences with him being a risk taker like that?
Other than challenging the system, which is a breathtaking thing in itself. So I think the best thing about Dr. Colbert is just he's a mentor. And so he's always encouraging people to push through. And while I haven't necessarily had direct contact with his mentoring, he did mentor my brother-in-law, Dubem. And, you just saw change in him overnight as soon as Dr. Colbert touched him. His impact in the classroom, outside the classroom. Dr. Colbert is just one of them guys, like, you have to know him, especially in the community of Northwest Arkansas.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about what led to you want to take on this project that was highlighting Dr. Colbert, and also about the stress? Because one of the things that I keep on hearing whenever I see the interviews is y'all talk about putting so many years in just like a short amount of a documentary.
Yeah. So, what made me want to do it? I think it was just everything was in real timing, right? And so, I don't know how this goes on in other communities, but I know in the African American community, you're usually not in the history books until you're gone. Mm-hmm. And so one of the blessings about Dr. Colbert being the first African American superintendent, him handling pressures during COVID, him having a school named after him, it all happened within a 5-year span. And so me being in Northwest Arkansas for all of that, it was just, I think the opportunity was just there. No one else was doing it. Got in contact with his family, got in contact with the church that we went to make sure that I wasn't stepping on any toes. Mm-hmm. And, most importantly, make sure we receive his blessing that he even wants to do this. And so, he'll tell you himself it was a no. But going back to even the ATV situation, going through his daughter. His daughter understood the importance of what we were trying to do. And once his daughter talked to him, then there was a green light from there. And so, in terms of the stress and the pressure, we've talked about this. Getting everything down to 50 to 55 minutes doesn't feel right. And if it was up to me, we could extend this. But, we grabbed the best pieces. We grabbed the best interviews to ensure that Dr. Colbert was done with incredible justice. And so, honestly, the biggest stress about this was me and my wife having a third kid in the middle of all this. And so that was the biggest stress. But, with community, with patience from Dr. Colbert and his family, with patience from my wife, we were able to execute a solid production.
And how are y'all feeling right now? Because this is the week of the showing of the documentary. When this episode comes out, the next day will be the showing. So, what are y'all feeling at the moment?
Butterflies going through my stomach. I don't know why, because I don't have anything just to sit and watch it.
You don't like to be in the forefront.
That's right. So I just wanted to be perfect.
Yeah. As a filmmaker, I haven't been this nervous in a very long time. So, normally you're telling a story that's based on inspiration, probably from your own life or somebody that you may have saw, and you'll be able to tweak it. This is raw. This is 100% truth. This is somebody else's name on the documentary, and not just anybody. This is Dr. John L. Colbert. Everybody knows him. And so if you don't do it right, everything falls on myself as the director, as the filmmaker. And so the pressure is there, but I take it with great gratitude. It's something that I humbly accept as the challenge. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I'm at awe in the sense that he has chosen to do this in my honor. And I admire young people like him. That's what it's about. My life has been centered around trying to encourage and promote young people. And to see someone like his caliber to come and do this is just exceptional. And so I just feel, oh, God, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Is this really going to be something about my life that other people can see on the screen? Y'all, wow.
Yeah, the pressure's there.
It is, you know? So it's a great feeling.
What's something that you're having to leave out that
That's a good question.
you really wanted to have in?
The awards and then the exact organizations of everything he is a part of. And so unfortunately we have to kind of, if we were to do clubbing and organizations, we'd be in that theater all day.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that unfortunately we couldn't necessarily talk about. And then the other big component, we didn't necessarily leave out, we just didn't have enough information, is more about his childhood, because of
my home burn and all the
Yeah.
pictures and everything.
Yeah, so we had to work around that. And so, but other than that, I think for the most part, I did exactly what I promised to Dr. Colbert that I would do. I would make sure that we will highlight his education career. We will highlight his wife especially, and then we will highlight his faith, or our faith. Let me say that, our faith. So those are the three biggest components that I promised him, and I'm happy to say that I think I delivered.
I think whenever I saw that you were doing this documentary, I was like, you're the perfect person to do this, because I know you're going to take it seriously.
Yes.
And yeah, I feel like you also know the impact this could have, and like what it means to this community, especially, you know, the legacy of Dr. Colbert here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the great part about it is that he's right here. His daughter is right there to kind of pick me up whenever, like, I feel like things are not going necessarily right, or oh man, I'm running out of time. And they've just been so patient, and that's the best part. I feel like I've heard quote unquote horror stories about biopics and about documentaries where if you don't do it right, you know, things could go left. But with them, so far they've been editing, they've been giving me honest feedback, and knowing that the journey doesn't stop after Saturday, August 24th, that we still have some work to do before we really release it out to the public. I'm comfortable where I'm at right now.
And isn't it so cool when you can, you know, give someone their flowers while they're still alive?
Yes.
Because a lot of folks, it's like, it always happens wherever it's like after they pass, where they do a documentary, well, they do a movie, all these different things. But it's like Dr. Colbert celebrating his birthday the day before. The day before.
It felt right. I think I approached this to him on his birthday last year, actually. We were on a Zoom call, and I gave him this pitch about how we would honor him on his birthday. We would, you know, it's also 70 years after the Brown versus Board of Education, 70 years after Fayetteville desegregated. And so I don't think the year 1954 is important. And so to bring it up on 70 years, I just thought it was perfect timing.
And for the folks, you know, the folks that go into this showing on Saturday, where does the story of the documentary lead them into? Is it something like from the beginning to now, or how does that story look like on the documentary?
So it actually starts. So we kind of did it in a unorthodox kind of way. We started the day he got accepted to be the superintendent of Fayetteville Public Schools, and so me and him had a back and forth about that
piece
as
I told
well.
you I wanted him to change.
I asked them, I was like, is there something you wanted to change after you saw it?
He said it this past Sunday about changing it, but I think the important part about that was, like, we saw vulnerability, you know, in a black man. We don't see that in films. We see so much emasculation. We see you have to be tough, and here is this legend who is tears of joy after everything he's been through, you know, and those tears of joy will be explained once you get through the story, because a lot of people don't know that, you know, a year up to that, you know, his wife transitioned. People don't know that he just got his doctorate degree. People don't know the hurdles and obstacles he had to go through just to lead up to that moment. And so that's why I wanted to start right there, because I wanted people to be hooked as soon as the film starts.
Yeah. And Dr. Colbert, working in education, especially in Arkansas nowadays, things have changed quite a bit. What are some ways that you are figuring out, well, I guess some ways that you hope teachers can overcome being politically correct, I guess would be like the appropriate term, you know, and for students to still be able to learn parts of their history that, you know, sometimes some people are trying to block out.
Right. I'm just hoping that teachers will be able to go ahead and teach how they should be teaching and not be afraid of anything happening to them. And once we get beyond that piece and that everyone understand that, you know, it's about teaching about the history of all culture, not just black to white, but everyone who's gone and lived in this country. Is so important that we don't forget from which we have come. And that really makes a difference for everyone to appreciate that. So I'm hoping that people would start, you know, even from the governor all the way down, that they understand that is very important. You can't leave out history. History is what makes us, and it's what makes this great country. And we have to realize that that must be taught in the schools, that everyone needs to be exposed to that. So I'm praying that that will happen, and we can get beyond that piece.
And a part that we've talked about in this podcast before is like being able to look up and see a name and knowing that that person looks like you.
Yes.
You're having that impact
Right.
forever.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
That's just beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Because, you know,
great.
I feel that as I read and lived my life, I always was reading about other African Americans who have done so great things, you know, Ben Banneker, you know, when you think about those names and you say, hey, they did this, I too can do that. And so therefore, as a role model, I wanted to make sure that young people could see me doing things and being successful. Say, hey, he did it. He looks like me. I can do that too. And you're so right. We need to make sure that is exposed in schools, that every culture has been taught, and those kids can see that, because that motivates them to want to do well and do better in school. You know, it's just statistics. When kids see people who look like themselves, they're going to want to do better. They want to excel. And so it's very important that we don't forget that piece. Yeah.
So for you specifically, when you hear, you know, first black principal in Fayetteville, first black superintendent, what are the feelings that come to you when you hear that?
It's kind of very, you know, I'm a humble person. It really makes me feel kind of humbled at the fact that, you know, they say John L. Colbert was the first African-American principal in Northwest Arkansas School, at Fayetteville School. John L. Colbert was the first superintendent in the Fayetteville Public School. That's kind of big, and it just makes me feel good. And the fact that once they hear that and says, a black man was what now? If he could do that, I can do that. So therefore, it makes me proud in the fact that, you know, young people would be able to see and hear that, and hopefully it would motivate them to go ahead and do great things too. That, hey, your color doesn't matter. You know, it's just what you have within you. That's what matters. And I'm hoping that they can see that this little African-American male from Rondo, Arkansas, was very successful throughout his life here in Northwest Arkansas.
Definitely. And Mike, for you specifically, not to put you on the spot, but in this relationship that you've built, you know, with Dr. Colbert, what would you say are some of the biggest takeaways that you've taken from his leadership and just by the way that he does things? And I said put you on the spot because it's one of those questions where you kind of be like, let me think about this.
You have to
quick.
think about that. I will say this. I am grateful that I have been able to look at Dr. Colbert as a person of, I can do it. I can go to church. I can be successful in my career. I don't have to compromise my morals and beliefs. I can be this loving husband. I can be this loving father. I can bring my kids to work, and I can be successful as a just as a leader in general. And so, Dr. Colbert has been this figure, not just for black men, not just for black women, but for literally everyone in the education system, and it has bled out into the church community, the community in general. This past year and a half, I have become a better filmmaker, not because of the film techniques, but how I handle my business at home, or how I handle my presence when speaking to people. Just watching Dr. Colbert, watch how he talks to his mom, watch how he talks to his sister, watch how he talks to the people that surround him. He respects everybody. And so if he can do that after going through years of integration, desegregation, the political rules of the education system, I can do that. I can do that in 2024 as a filmmaker, as a father of 3, as a husband. So really, really admire what Dr. Colbert has done, not only for me, but for the world.
And, to back that up, and, my life is not just there for African American. Of course, that's one of my top priorities for all people. And then, when they're advertising the promo, this one particular teacher wrote, I don't know if you read this, still my favorite principal.
Yeah, read
ever.
that this morning.
That kind of, that's a white lady. She was one of my teachers. So therefore, it just shows you that, hey, what I do is for all people, because we need to make sure we come together and live together and treat each other with respect and all. And that's something I tried to do, let them know, hey, I'm here for all of you, and I'm going to show you the respect, and I want the same in return. So that was kind of touching when I see things. That's just one example of some of those that I see, that it's just not just for African American, but also for all races in that sense.
And Dr. Colbert, what are some things that are on your retirement checklist?
Ooh, that's the good one.
Other than still working.
And volunteering and different, no, I want to make sure that I can continue to travel, because after that first month when I finished working and retired, I was out traveling Germany, Ghana, Egypt, and all. And so that was great. So hopefully I can continue to do that. I was going to go to Paris for the Olympics, but my mom was ill, and so I didn't want to leave. But she's passed now, so
Sorry to
I'm
hear
going to
that.
put that back on my bucket list, and I'm going to go ahead and do more traveling. And of course, I want to be available for the grandbabies. I have 2 beautiful granddaughters, and I love when they pick up the phone and call me and say, "Gee, Pa," and I say, "I'll be right there." I just melt when I hear them saying "Gee, Pa," so it's kind of neat. So of course, spending more time with the family, with the grandbabies and all. I love that, and then continue to, serve and volunteer my all of the activities that we could not list in the documentary, but I do I always love giving back. So
I was cracking up a little bit before we started recording, because I asked you, I was like, why are you retiring so soon? And then your eyes opened big and you were like, I've been doing this for 50 years.
Right. You too young. You should have said, what?
And throwing it back to you, Dr. Colbert, what has the relationship that you've created with Mike meant to you?
He has patience, and that's something I'm real. I admire him for. That he's doing a great job, but at the same time, he knows how to work with people. He has that ability to know when to push and when not to push. And he knows when to say, hey, okay, guys, we need to get this done now. And I love the fact that to be a young person, to be so organized, on top of things, that means a lot to me. And then almost emulating some of the little traits that I have. I love seeing him doing that, because he's on the ball. I see myself in him, And it's good, when you, at my age, to see young people, especially African-American young men like him, it makes you proud. It makes you proud. that the world needs to see that, because they don't see this enough. Only thing they see is maybe somebody's shooting somebody in jail. But we have so many young people just like him who is gifted and has the skill set to do wonderful things. So Mike is exceptional. So I like that. That makes me feel good, that I know him. He just doesn't know he's my role model, and especially when it comes down to his production and all. So I'm proud of you, man.
You're not gonna make me cry.
You're proud.
Not yet.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you.
I think one of the things that I've seen with Mike is that a lot of the people that help him, they really believe in his vision, which is kind of, I mean, that's his brand, right? DAYVISION. But they really, and I've spoken like to Tom, to Natasha, to a lot of people that are in your circle, and they're just like, Mike's a good guy that has a vision, and we believe that he's going to do something big, So I'm just really happy to see this come about, and y'all have a official showing on Saturday. Can you give us more details about the event?
Yeah. Dr. Colbert's 70th birthday celebration concludes with the documentary of the year. I'm gonna call it. Come out to watch Colbert. All students can learn. Of course, it'll be Saturday, August 24th at the Fayetteville Public Library. This will be Hollywood themed, so come in your Sunday's best. Look forward to the red carpet, but most of all, look forward to watching us reflect on a man, a legend, who is still continuing to create new expectations every day. So we'd love to see y'all out there.
And where do people need to register or anything to go to this event?
Yes, so tickets are free. You just need to register so we can keep a head count and so that we can respect Fayetteville Public Library rules. But yes, please come out. We will actually have a performance from your nephew, right? Yes.
Andre Colbert.
Yes, he'll kick it off with an incredible performance. And then we have Elena Gaddison hosting, and then be on the lookout for Dr. Colbert's documentary. Then Dr. Colbert will speak. We will celebrate, and then we will hopefully everyone gets home safely, and then we will be able to reflect.
Can you tell them where they can go and find that link?
Yes, it is on the Fayetteville Public Library website. Just look under events. You can also go to dayvisionfilms.com. You can follow us on all social outlets, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Those are the only three we have. But we've been promoting this probably for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And so you click on our page, you'll go directly to that link.
Okie dokie. And one of the questions that we ask all of our guests, and so this will be the last question of this podcast episode, what do you do to take care of your mental health?
You want me to start?
There's always a pause. There's always a big pause after that question.
I can tell you.
Hey, go ahead. You can start first, Dr. Colbert.
Like I told you, I got here early. Guess what I did? I went walking because I have an app on my phone, and I have this little thing that I have to fill this circle.
Gotta hit
and
that
so
goal.
therefore I went out there walking. I walk a lot. And also I'm a biker. I believe in getting on that bike and going out there by myself and just clearing my mind, because you have to take care of self. And I have a very neat story about that, because I decided to go to Hot Springs to my timeshare condo feeling guilty because I went by myself. And of course, on Sundays, I have to go to church. And for the church I wanted to go to, it was closed, so I ended up going to a church I didn't know about. And guess what the preacher was preaching about? He says, you need to sometimes just get away and just take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be useful for anybody else. So always remember this. So I said, I don't feel bad. Because I even took my bike to Hot Springs, because I went out there and rode my bike on the trails and all that stuff. So I encourage people, you need to take care of yourself. And don't wait until you're too old. You need to do it young, because I've been doing it all my life, and I don't feel 70. I feel 45 still, because it's important that you take care of yourself and also take care of your family. So exercise and doing things that you need to, that makes you feel good. Don't forget about yourself.
Yes.
Before I answer this question, can I kind of flip it back to Colbert? He went to Hot Springs. He has a spot there, and I think it's very important to kind of talk about what that spot is and why Hot Springs was that place for you to take that mental break. I know. And if you can't do it, it's okay.
Take your time.
Well, about 48 years ago, Cheryl, my wife, and I got this invitation to come to Hot Spring and buy this timeshare, and so we did. And I just felt this past year that I needed to go and just reflect and think about Cheryl. Because I wouldn't be here being successful without her, because she was my best buddy, my best supporter. And I needed that time to just go and say, babe, I miss you. And thank you for all the things that you've done for me and always been there for us. And it was good. Especially when the preacher told me it's okay to do that. And I did it. So, man, I just tell people you need to do that. You need to reflect upon the good things that has happened in your life. And that was one of the best things that happened in my life, is marrying and being the husband to Cheryl Jumper Colbert. It was just wonderful, and just brought back a lot of tears and memories, tears of joy, you know.
I appreciate you sharing that. What do you think she would think about this documentary?
Oh, as long as you don't put her out there, because she was a person, she was so smart, creative and all that stuff, but she did not like being in the limelight. That wasn't her. But boy, you're talking about helping John L. Colbert. She did that, and I think she would be proud of the fact that you did it, honey. Yeah, that's what she probably would have said to me, and she would have been proud of it, Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
thank you for
great.
sharing
It's
that.
touching.
Well, that kind of, I'm about to say, that kind of ties into, how do I debrief my mental health? I got one of my kids here with me today, and it's just being a family man. I used to see it as this, not this daunting task, but being the man of the house. You feel like the world weighs on your shoulders, especially, being a man of minority, being the man of the house. You have to go play one set of rules and then come out and create another set. And so it used to be very tiring, but as this documentary rolled along, I found so much joy just leaning onto my wife and my kids. Like, I told her this morning, like, I know when she's praying for me. I think we in the world, we look at a lot of bad things that are happening. We feel like we got so many foes, we have so many oppositions, but I feel like God has recently given me a gift to where it's like, my wife, Iffy, she just got done praying for me. Why am I stressed? Why am I worried? And so being able to sit at home, do this documentary that took almost a year and a half, and in that process, understand why Dr. Colbert loves his wife so much, has helped me understand why I love my wife so much. Like, and she's a former news anchor. She used to be on TV, but nowadays she's like, Michael, what do you need for DAYVISION? What do you need for me as your wife? And so, similar to Dr. Colbert, I got to give all my credit to Iffy Ibosimade. Without her, like, we are not sitting in this room. So, yeah.
I'm glad that you both mentioned that, because I feel like a lot of the times, we don't publicly, acknowledge that. If I don't even like the phrase when someone says, like, behind a good man is a good woman, because they're not behind us.
No. Right there now.
Like, literally, if and I think there should be a balance, right? We should kind of help each other accomplish each other's dreams and stuff. But it should be a very balanced situation, and we should be able to kind of say, hey, if it wasn't because of them, we wouldn't have the stability that we have in order for us to be able to accomplish our dreams or reach our goals. So I'm very grateful that you all mentioned that today on this podcast. But for everybody listening, make sure to check out the screening once again this Saturday at the Fayetteville Public Library. At what time?
Doors open at 6.
Okie dokie. Sounds good. Well, thank you all for listening. This is Irvin with the District 3 Podcast, and
this is Elena.
We'll catch you all next week.